Welcome back, guys. It is sublimation time. In today's video, I am taking you through my first design, my first print, and my first project. Is it a fail? Stay and find out. All right, to get started with this, obviously I had to gather all of my materials. Everything that you see in here should be linked in my affiliate links below, including the car coasters, the butcher paper, the heating mat that I picked up. All of that will be in my affiliate links if you are interested. Now, please note, this is my very first ever sublimation project. I am not here to act like a professional or try to teach you how to do this. I simply want to walk you through what I did for my first project. I do have some helpful information for you when it comes to where I created my projects, how I did them, what my printer settings are, how I got my best color corrections, and what mistakes I made, and that kind of information. So if you're interested in learning with me, this video is for you. If you're looking for just like, this is exactly how to be successful, not your girl in this video, because I too am learning and doing my best to better myself and learn how to do this craft. Let's go ahead and move forward with this project. I do want to let you know that I was having some issues with screen recording, so I'm going to walk you through with a screen recording that is kind of, my project's kind of already been done, but I am walking you quickly through how I did it because I did lose the footage from when I originally did the project. So if you have any questions or something seemed missed or too rushed, please leave me a message in the comments to let me know, and I will try to answer that the best that I can. Also, I'm just going to ask if you enjoy my videos, if you enjoy the content from this video, if you find this helpful, or really just want to help me out for free, give my video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and pushes my information out and my content out to other creators who are looking for this type of content. I use Canva.com. I do have the pro version available to me, but there are a lot of great images and other features for the free version, and I highly suggest you checking it out. What I did was I had gone into the Elements tab, typed in circle pattern, and just kind of scrolled through the images to see what was available to me, and I found one that I liked. Now, I apologize that things aren't loading on the screen as you see them. I was having issues with screen recording, and the program that I downloaded in was making everything run a little slower. Anyway, I selected this background, and all you do is click it and put it in. As you can see, there's a little crown, and if you hover over a picture with a crown, it'll say that is for the pro version. Just an FYI. So I clicked that image in, and I am moving it around to set up in my background, and then you can scale it up and down to change the size. For the dino, I literally typed in dino in the Elements tab and selected one that I thought was adorable and that would work for the image I'm going for. So I selected him in. I'm just resizing him and kind of getting him into position. After I got him kind of where I wanted him, I went in, I typed in iced coffee, and I just scrolled through those different images until I found a cup that I felt fit my image. So they have some realistic ones, some like clip art type versions one, so I just picked the one that I wanted, resized it, and set it into the image where I felt that it looked the best. And then that's when you can actually start building your image together. So I'm going to remove the circle from the background, select both pieces, go up to the top and hit group. I'm going to replace the background, which you can change it to the foreground just by as simple as hitting position and then bring forward, send backwards. But since this is my background, I'm going to keep it in the back. I'm going to highlight everything, and sometimes you can hit position and align it how you want. However, the center is not available. Another easy way to center this is simply to highlight and drag the images that you want, and you'll see those little purple lines pop up. That's going to show you where the center is vertically and horizontally if you just slowly move it. That way, even if that isn't available to hit through the positioning, you can center your image with those lines. Once you get everything set up the way that you want to download it out. You go up to Share, Download. I like to do a transparent background. That way I will only get my image and not a white block behind me. and then you want to pick how you want to download it. I always do the PNG because it's a nice high quality, or the PDF because that's also a high quality. In this case, I am choosing the PNG simply because I want to upload this into Cricut, and I cannot do that with a PDF. So I'm going to go over and open up my Cricut design space, and then go and start a new project. The reason I'm doing this is because I created the 2 other coasters that you will see in this video from Cricut Design Space. So to get my image that I created in Canva in, you go down to upload, and then you upload image, hit browse, find your image and bring it in. And this one I'm going to use complex because there are a lot of dots and kind of craziness going on, which I do wish I would have lightened the background just slightly. Anyway, I'm going to not touch anything or change anything, so I'm just going to move forward, choose the print to cut, and then hit the upload. I'm going to select my most recent one, and then I'm going to add that to my canvas. I had done this prior, but my screen recording didn't work, so I'm trying to re-show you guys how. Over in the images, that's where you can type in and kind of see what other patterns they have here. Here I typed in circle patterns just to kind of give you a rough idea, but you can do a pattern and splice it to be a circle, but that's for a whole other time. A lot of you who use Cricut Design Space might be familiar with that, but just for simplicity, I just went in, typed in circle pattern or circle whatever to get the designs for the other coasters. I added them to my canvas, and then I just resized everything. I did it 3 inches by 3 inches because I wanted to have a little bit of extra space over top of the coaster for any type of movement, and just a little like leeway for mistakes. If you can't size it, because if you size it, it doesn't become a complete, just hit the unlock button, and then you can change the height and the width to be the same. And then you're going to hit make, and it's a print to cut. You're going to move forward and you're going to send to printer. Now there's 2 options here. You can send it directly to your printer and go ahead and print it from this step, or you can do the Microsoft PDF and send it to where you can save it as a PDF file on your computer. Now that's what I'm doing because I do want to save this for future in case I want to use these coasters again. Now I'm saving this one as a test just to show you the process, but I'm going to actually show you the one I made earlier when my screen recording wouldn't work, so you can see all 6 of the coasters in their places, and yeah, just give you an idea of what it would actually be like if you chose to do more than one coaster. I wanted to do that so I didn't waste my sublimation paper, and I'm getting as much or as many of the images in there as I can. I didn't have to import this into the Cricut Design Space, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea that you could use either of these systems to create your designs to be able to print them off. So here I'm just opening up the PDF that I had made earlier. It is showing, obviously the positive vibes only is reading correctly. It is not mirrored in my PDF, but that's okay because I already have my printer preferences set to mirror this whenever it prints. In this space where I have my printer preferences, I can't change anything to be able to change the mirror or any of that. So that's why it's important to have your printer already preset. So I'm going to just walk you through that quickly. We're going to go to devices. We're going to go to printers, scanners, pick your printer that you're using, hit manage, hit printer preferences, and here you're going to make sure that you have your paper type set to the premium matte because sublimation paper is a matte paper. You want to make sure your quality is set to high. That way you know that it's going to print the best it can. In more options, you want to make sure mirror image is selected. And then over here, you want to hit Custom, Advanced, Color Controls. And then in this drop-down box here, you want to make sure you're selecting the Adobe RGB. Now that's going to make sure that your colors are printing as brightly as possible. And I'll show you the difference here in a minute. So I printed 2 sheets out. The first one I didn't make my coasters quite as big, but that's okay because I printed one with the Adobe RGB on it and one with those color preferences not selected. That way I can show you how important it is to change that, because in my last video I didn't change it at that point because I wasn't really sure that I needed to, and let me tell you, it's super important. So here I just have my 2 different sheets showing you that I resized it to where I can have a little bit of a lip so that it'd be a little more forgiving to me whenever I were actually pressing it onto the coaster. So I'm just kind of laying it over there to make sure that my sizing is good and that it's going to work well for these. And then I'm going to show you the differences in the colors of these 2. So the colors on these 2, to me, like even just on the printed piece, I can tell how vibrant and different they are. I don't know how much you can tell on camera, but it was a pretty big difference to me. And then when I press them, you'll definitely see how big of a difference it made. So I'm just going to carefully cut these out, getting as close to the image as I can, but without actually cutting off any of the image. And then the coasters I'm using, I did pick up from Amazon. I will link those down in my description below. They're just like these like foam type sublimation car coasters. So I'm going to get as many as I need out. In this video, I'm going to be doing 6 of them. And so I'm going to start by prepping them with a lint roller. I'm just going to run this over the top of them to make sure that there's not any like loose fibers or lint or anything sitting on top, so that when I press it, it messes with the image at all. From my research, anything that you sublimate on, you want to make sure that you clean properly beforehand. So for these, the best thing to do would be to just lint roll them or use some tape to get anything that's sitting on top off of them. From there, I'm going to work on placing the coasters in the image where I want them to go. I'm trying to be mindful of where the thumb hole will go versus on the image. So if that's important to you, then make sure that you're keeping that in mind. If it's not, don't worry about it. For sublimation, you want to make sure that you have butcher paper in between the mat, your items, and then your items and the press. This is going to catch any of the ink that is escaping. It's going to make sure that everything stays in the place that you want it to, because when you're pressing these and that ink releases, it kind of, I don't know the full chemicals behind it, but kind of almost like a gas, and it kind of seeps out, and that butcher paper will catch all of it. So you want to make sure your butcher paper is bigger than your items and it's bigger than your press. All right, so here you see me lining everything up. I'm just trying to make it as even and in the center as possible. And then, for instance, with the dinosaur, I want the thumb part to go on his backside where there's more open space. That way it's not crowding his face at all. And I'm just going to do this with each of the coasters. I'm just going to line it up to where I think it looks best. Try to get it as centered as possible. And I do wish I had heat tape. I have it somewhere, but in between me receiving that and making this video, I had a craft fair and all of my things got disheveled and I cannot find it anywhere. So I do have more on the way, but I'm a little frustrated I didn't have it for this video. While I prep these and getting everything in order, I'm going to heat up my heat press. I am doing 185 for 60 seconds. Now I'm doing this based on what the description for these car coasters says, based off of the Amazon description of what they say is best to do for these coasters. So I'm going to set my butcher paper on top and as carefully as possible place this straight down and do my best not to shift the paper that's underneath to put them on the car coasters. Now this is easier said than done, and looking back, I didn't think so much, like after I already had the press down, I didn't think about moving my hands and how even those just simple movements could cause any problems. So just be very aware of that when you're doing it, because it can cause some issues for you. Try to hold very still, especially for this, but I will say I have decided to move forward and go ahead and get an actual heat press. That way I can just take that out of the equation. I don't have to worry about me moving around or causing any problems, because it'll just press down and hold and I won't be able to shift it or move it while the heat is pressing. For these, it said light to medium pressure, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of holding it in place, slightly pushing down, not very hard, and just holding it there for the 60 seconds. Again, the time and the heat is based off of what was suggested by the car coaster company. So that is what I am doing, though if I were to do it again, I think I would take about 10 seconds off. Now that it's done, I'm going to lift up. Reminder, this is very hot, so if you have gloves, wear them. I do have gloves on the way, but I'm lucky enough to have not burnt myself or anything throughout this video. Now it's time to just lift them off. I think that the colors transferred beautifully. Very happy with how they turned out for it being my first time ever project. Now, I will say that I need to definitely get some heat tape. It's not I've seen people do this without it. I guess I could also make my background slightly bigger to make sure and overcompensate, so if it does shift that it doesn't have like that white mark or ghosting mark on it. But again, that's just operator error, so I think as I get used to it, I will do a better job with it. But like I said, the colors transferred absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy with the actual transfer itself. It lets me know that my settings and things are all kind of in order, but I do obviously have a lot to learn and a lot of practice ahead of me. But that's why I've done the coasters first, because they're the cheaper blanks that I could find, and I get a lot of them, so there's a lot of practice that I can have done with this. So I'm going to move on and now do the dinosaurs. I chose to do those last because I'm making these for my sister-in-law, and I wanted to not ruin those the first time. So I did the same thing. I made sure everything was lined up. Also, when you're lining them up, try not to touch your image. You don't want to leave fingerprints all over it. I don't know that it could mess with your transfer, but just do your very best to touch that image as little as possible. Now that they are down and ready, I am just pressing it again at the 385 for 60 seconds. And I think I said 185 earlier, and that is not right. 385 is my temperature for 60 seconds. Now with these, I'm going to pull it off, and I'm actually really happy how these turned out, except for one thing. They worked really well and didn't shift to where it didn't cover the coaster. However, my slight movements did shift the picture enough to where it kind of overlapped itself. Now, I did want to do a couple of the sheet where I did not adjust my colors correctly, just to give you an idea of what it's like. Since I don't have heat tape and these were smaller, I needed to keep them in place, and I read online that the 3M painter's tape would work well and be a safe choice to use. So I thought I'd go ahead and try that just while I'm at it to see if it's worth even buying the heat tape if I can have this ready and accessible. So I got them all ready, taped in place, put it down, 385 for 60 seconds, and then pulled the tape off. Now I'll say I wouldn't suggest using this tape. It could just be because of the coasters and the material they're made out of. It did stick and peel part of the coasters away. I don't know if that'd be different for a tumbler or a shirt or anything, but I would suggest just getting the heat tape just to be safe so that you don't have to worry about it. So as you can see, I'm peeling it off here, and I get little black marks to where it's, it's been heated and stuck to that coaster, and it's just like peeling part of the layers of the coaster away. So again, I wouldn't suggest it. I just wanted to have it to keep it in place, but they turned out fine, I guess. If I would have done it, I wouldn't have known any better. But since I did do both pieces, you can tell a huge difference in the colors from the coasters where I didn't have my color settings correctly and from when I did. So definitely look into that. Now each sublimation ink will come with its own setting preferences, so make sure you do read the pamphlet. But if it doesn't, or if it's vague, the Adobe RGB setting is what I would suggest for you. So now that we have walked you through beginning to end of what I have done for these car coasters, I'm going to say not a fail, not the greatest success. I'm very happy for it being my first one and how well they did. I really wish I had my heating tape or my heat tape, because I think that would help me keep things in position. And I don't know, I just wish I would have thought through when I was doing it, like holding still, because I feel like even those small shifts are what's kind of throwing things off. For instance, like the first set that I did, the paper had moved and shifted, and that's why I had that white line there, because it wasn't covering the entire coaster. But then when I did the next round for like the dinosaurs, those slight movements shifted and it kind of doubled up on the image. And you can see that here where the black is kind of darker other than on this coaster. So just be very mindful of that when you're there and you're holding and you're doing your pressure, just to hold very still for that entire time, and don't be like me and just kind of woo la la whatever. Lesson learned. But I am very happy with how they turned out. My sister-in-law loved those coasters, so that makes me happy. If I were to do those exact coasters again, I would definitely change my background just slightly. It's really busy, and I feel like if I would have like dimmed it a little bit in the background, the dinosaur and the coffee would have popped a little, but that's more from the design standpoint, not the actual sublimation standpoint. So I digress, but wanted to share that information. And then like I said, I did the 2 different color versions, and holy cow, guys, what a difference that makes to actually change it to the Adobe RGB. Why can't I ever say that? To switch that over, it makes a huge difference in the way that your colors pop. Again, every ink, sublimation ink will have its own instructions or setting preferences for you to do. So make sure you check those. I don't want to give you the wrong information for what you're using. I'm using the Printer's Jack sublimation ink, and this is what was suggested because they do have printer preferences for certain printers. But for mine, it was a general one, and this is what they said was best, and they were absolutely correct. So listen to them. They know what they're talking about. I am very pleased, like I said, with this project for how it turned out. I think my heating settings and everything were good, but I am going to go ahead and move forward with getting a different heating press, because this is something that I want to be able to take a little more seriously and have less worry, but also have a bigger heat space for larger items. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know, did you do your first sublimation project? How did it turn out for you? Am I the only one that didn't quite get it right? I could have kept trying to get the perfect piece for you guys to show here, but that's not what this video is about. It's absolutely a learning opportunity for me, and to show you guys that everybody starts somewhere. It's not all perfect all the time, so keep going, keep believing in yourself, and you will get there. And I think it'd be really fun to be able to see my progress and look back on this video and say, man, have I learned a lot. So like I said, I by no means know everything. I am just now starting, and if you have any helpful hints or tips for me, leave them in the comments. I would be so grateful to hear what you guys have to say. If you have projects that you would like to share with me, go over and join my Facebook group. It's Inspiring Creativity, Crafting with Candace. The link is also in my description, along with any of my affiliate links for products used on this channel. I am very grateful for you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Help me push out my content. Subscribe if you're new here. I would love for you to join us on this crafting journey. We do a little bit of everything here. I like to have my hands in everything. Just makes me feel good knowing that I have no boundaries, no limits. If I have the urge to go do something, I just go try it, because okay, so I failed. That maybe that thing's just not for me, but I won't know until I try. So that's what you see on this channel, is we're into everything. I'm happy to take requests if there's any projects you'd like to see or help being walked through. I really appreciate you guys. Again, subscribe, like. If you're returning, I love you. You know that. I appreciate everything you do for me. I'm going to take you in for a closer look on these coasters, and I'll see you next time.